Please have your seat. As I heard Dr. Adesina speak, I thought we had a national rate of the United States. I'm telling you! It sounded so real. It sounded visionary. It sounded pragmatic. It sounded anarchist. And I thought it was music to my ears. And Mr. President, we are inspired today by these words, because I know deep in my heart your thoughts, your vision, and the things you want to do for this country. And I think some of the things the doctor and professor said this afternoon reflect your agenda and how you want to move this country. And therefore, I'm appealing to my colleagues here this morning, the entire country will move forward for our country. Thank you so much. You know, Dr. Adesina is quoted to say, the youth is one of the greatest assets we have in our country. And we can apply the demographic data that we have as country to this youthful population, increase productivity and advance our country. And therefore, it is essential that we focus on how we empower and promote our youth. So at this time, there will be a brief overview of the Liberia Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank. Okay, before that, you heard Dr. Adesina, and from your reaction, your response to his presentation, I can imagine that you have so much in your mind, and have questions and comments. Questions to ask and comments to it. And so we'll give you the opportunity. We're going to manage this. It will not go on forever. And so we would like to call those who have some questions and comments to ask the Google professor for a response. So we'll take the first three. The Minister of Agriculture. Remember?
This is a Q&A session, and Professor Adesina will take a few questions here. And we have the Minister of Agriculture will be the first person to ask a question. Dr. Nuta will ask a question right now.
Thank you, Professor Adesina. You know, I was one of your admirers of the Minister of Agriculture. At that time, I was doing graduate studies in China, and I had Nigerian colleagues who were my classmates. When you came up with the 2 million ton objective, 20 million ton, we actually agreed in our class. I had this guy who came from Oyo. His name is Odu. So, and I told him, look, this is not achievable. I said, but as we went along the way, I followed you up to the time that I graduated school. And I'm very impressed. Because of what you did, before His Excellency asked me to become Minister of Agriculture, I have prepared myself because of what I saw you do for Nigeria. To actually do 21 million tons in 4 years, I thought it was something that was unachievable. So I thought to carry what this in my own way. So before I became minister, I prepared a plan. And that plan is actually to feed Nigeria. We call it the Liberian Feed Yourself agenda. And my policy is so ambitious. So, as I listen to you, I think I feel dedicated and the Honorable Minister of Finance, I think we'll be able to take start when I take my project of him. But I really wanted to know, from your perspective as Minister of Agriculture, in Nigeria, a diverse country, a complicated country, a country where ministers sometimes, even though he said ministers are not God, but in Nigeria, the big ministers are ministers. We know what they do. So I would like to know from your perspective as Minister of Agriculture, how were you able to navigate between your position, the Minister of Finance, the presidency, to be able to achieve our objective? We have a million projects that people feel is unreasonable. We want to invest 780 million in 5 years, and we feel that is not something that's realistic.
Yes.
Akinwumi Adesina, I'm really enthralled by your presentation. And I've been following your trajectory for a while now. My name is Dr. Sana, and I'm a Liberian and a private investor in Liberia who is just returning to resettle back home. And apparently I just learned during Minister Gafuan's introduction that you and I are fellow Boilermakers. And for those of you who don't know this, that means he and I got our PhD from the same university. So as I said, I've watched you as a private citizen. All of the awards, and I'm super grateful that the government of Liberia invited you to honor you for your great work. And for all of that, I wanted you to know from another brother, from the belly of Africa, this is an endearing moment for me to see you personally. After all of what I've watched you go through as a pan-African activist investor, fighting for the livelihood and for the advancement of Africa. I've watched you through your second term, the struggles and challenges you faced because of your position and how you triumphed through it with the support of other African brothers. I am deeply, deeply grateful for all of what you've done in Africa. And I wanted you to know this, not just as the awards you've been receiving from government, but that you are deeply appreciated from a private citizen's point of view. But I have a question. And the question and admiration here is that as you step aside from your position and from your tenure as president of the bank, I almost want to say I encourage you to, but I think I shouldn't say that because the flame that burns in you is not going to be extinguished by your end of tenure as president. You are going to continue to advocate for Africa as you promised. So I believe that just by your from and from your history. But one thing I wanted to bring to your attention, which is the main thing our heart eyes, is the lighting empowering Africa. I want to encourage and even implore you to focus that on industrial solar power. I think it has the propensity to unlock and unblock Liberia's latent industrial potential, which we haven't achieved yet. I do appreciate lighting homes with light, but empowering industrial processes in Liberia is truly the key to wealth creation for Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Adesina. Wonderful and inspiring remarks.
The Minister of Education will now ask for a question.
Earlier this year, I was fortunate to be invited to the African Development Conference of panelists at Harvard University. And what stuck with me from that discussion was entrepreneurship. How do we drive entrepreneurship in our youth population? We boast Africa having a young population of Africans. As a business leader, what will be some lessons that you can share with the Minister of Education to start to think through how do we empower Africa's future through entrepreneurship education that fuels research and innovation? Thank you.
Hey.
The Minister of State with her portfolio, Madam Belete, will pose her question too.
Cabinet members, I would like to, mine is more of an appreciation comment and maybe a little ask in the end. I'd like to say big thank you to you. You've been a good friend and a brother to the President and to Liberia. I remember when the President sent me as a young boy to meet with him in Abidjan, and so after life, yes. So when I went to meet you, you said, well, how do you deliberate? And well, we have delivery units, but it's not very active. And he said, I will include you in domestic resource organization and you will get some funding. So fast forward, we've been on a study tour in South Africa, and we learned their best practices there. We're still waiting for funding to come through. But fortunately, yesterday, or additionally, I got a signal from the UNDP that they're going to put more money into the President's delivery unit. So I'd like to say a big thank you to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister of Agriculture. Let me, Mr. President, because he included your name inside the question. I remember when I was minister, I was running so many reforms. They were not popular reforms. And stepping on toes, had to. Not even sure whether stepping was enough. We have to cross some toes, actually. But sometimes I'll go into the president's office. And he will say to me, "Hey, did you see the people that just did it?" I said, "Yeah, I saw them." So they all came in here to ask me to fire them. He said, "But I wanted to go out there and keep them support." What I'm saying is, when you have a loyal lieutenant that is willing to do what it takes to deliver on your agenda, presidents should back them on this. I was very fortunate that President Jonathan, my president, backed me 1,000%. I remember a situation that happened when people thought the whole country was going to fall apart. Was in 2012. We had just experienced the worst flood in the history of the country. And my staff That was my AD camp this year. Actually, he left Nigeria, I took him there, he was so faithful, a lawyer, I took him, I brought him to the bank, he's here. Can you stand? Strike out right there. And we were in the office one day, he said, Honorable Minister, look at the newspapers. They say there's going to be food crisis. There's going to be food riots because it's the worst war in the history of the country. I said to him, don't worry. Noise is not statistic. Just keep your eyes focused. And so I remember I had to deal with this issue practically. And I got support from the International Water Management Institute, which is the world's largest center for water control. And we were in our office for 5 days. It was like a bunker. As I finished about 10 o'clock, I think they tired and exhausted. I got a call from the president. I'd like to see you in the morning tomorrow because all the news say they're going to have a food crisis. And of course, the importers have gone over there and found a way of telling the president it's going to be crisis, price inflation, it's going to be this and that. And so I took, fortunately, knowledge is power. Don't underestimate analysis that is yours. Newspaper is not an analytical. So we did our analysis. We are buying satellite imageries over Nigeria. I divided the whole country into little pieces. So when you say there's a flood, I want to know how much is the area flooded. How much of that area flooded is arable land? How much of that arable land is cultivated land? What is the stage of crop growth when the flood was at its maximum? Because the fact that I have a flood doesn't mean I'm going to lose everything. So we have data. Buying satellite images from remote sensing data about Nigeria. When I went to the president, I just brought all this information to him. Fortunately, he was a marine biologist, so he could understand. And that's why it's important to have leaders that have education. Otherwise, the president asked me to explain, and I explained. And he said to me, so what are we going to do? So, Mr. President, my estimation, our estimation, is that we plan to lose food on about 4.6 million hectares. But you didn't choose the flood. Now you must choose your response. You don't have the luxury of complaining. So what's your plan? I said, Mr. President, I came up with a plan. That plan is a double-up food production plan. We're going to give subsidies to the farmers in areas that are not flooded, and then produce twice the crop they produce to compensate for the areas that are flooded. Secondly, we're going to launch in the country the first ever dry season farming program as a national force because plants grow when there's sunshine. And insects are not a big problem during dry season. So the water has flooded everywhere. I said, well, that's a free gift from God. The water is receding. You need no irrigation. Plants as the water recedes will follow it. And so we launched the nation's first dry season irrigation program. President said to me, they won't give me a budget of how much it's going to take. I said, I don't do things like that, Mr. President. I came with one. He looked at it, signed it, he looked at his desk, and all these piles of importers that wanted him to just import food and get out of government. He cancelled all of them. And he looked at me and said, now, go and implement your plan. That's confidence. Your president must be able to trust you. As I was in and out of his office, he looked at me and said, Minister, will it work? I said, Mr. President, sir, by God's grace,
I am not God, but 99.9% of people God. They went, and the rest was history. We had, in our worst law, in the history of the country, we produced more food than ever before when we implemented the plan. By March of the following year, when we were harvesting our wheat and rice, the price of food did not rise, the price of food fell in the country. What am I saying? Have a clear plan, be confident that you can deliver it, never let the president down, no leader must. You know, I always have a principle of operation. Started when I was minister. The word of a king or a queen must never fall to the floor. And so when you tell the president something is going to happen, it has to happen. And that was why President Jonathan supported me. And the president today talks about it all the time. So the point I'm trying to say is, hold yourself accountable. Be trustworthy. If the president can trust you and he gives you 100% support, you have no business. And all the people that went to president did not try to tell you to buy me because you just told me, do your job. I had more than 1,000% support from the president. I didn't have to worry about it. And you talk about the issue of budget. You see, in agriculture, my big sister, Ngozi Okoye, was then the Minister of Finance. I remember telling her, you know, ministers will come to you and ask for more money in Minister of Finance and additional budget. I said, I'm not going to come to you for additional budget. I'll make you more money from agriculture than the budget you are giving. We were able to turn agriculture into a business. We got investment of $5.6 billion. How much was my budget? So all I'm trying to say is that, look, you need budget, but try to make agriculture a business that attracts private sector to invest in us. Now, on the issue of Dr. Aaron from Purdue, thank you, Bola Baker, Republic University. Mr. President, if you were telling me about your experience growing up as a kid, the president told me about how you walk kilometers and kilometers. You know, you are at Purdue University. I used to, as a student, I had no money. I had $750 I spent in America for 6 months. And I was living in a basement of a home. And my rent was $100 a month. And I paid for 6 months. So I had only $150 to spend. I used to walk from Cumberland all the way to Crown. So you know how far that is. And I remember, Mr. President, one day I ran out of money. I only had 25 cents left in the world. And I remember praying, I said, God, if you don't come out today, that's it. I had no winter boots, I had no winter. To our Purdue was Professor John Thomas. I took it, and on my way out, he said, go to room 575. I said, what's that? He said, you'll see a professor there, but I'll call you before you got there. I went over there, I saw this professor, was backing everybody, he was a very mathematician, never really talked to people. He said, is that an Nigerian student? I said, yes. He said, I hear you're smart. I said, I don't know about that. He said, I hear you are broke. I said, very broke. He said, you have an assistantship. I said, what does assistantship mean? He said, your scholarship is paid, you have a scholarship, your tuition is paid, you get $575 a month. That was how I got trained at Purdue University through the benevolence of my professors. Now, so that I don't think I failed, I went back after 5 years and I went back to this professor that gave me $100. I paid him back his $100. He took the script in which I scored 54 and put it in the trash. He gave me the one that was one for the final exams after PhD, I got 94. And he shook my hand, congratulations, doctor.
That is how the Boilermaker experience is. What am I saying? Please, I'm saying it for a particular reason. Because in the part when the president was speaking to me about his experience, I almost cried. Because very similar to mine. The greatest legacy of a leader is kindness.
That's true.
As ministers, as leaders, be kind. Till today, when I look and I'm traveling with the president, every time I look out of the window of my car, every single day, I see a kid, I see somebody selling little stuff, and I ask myself, what will happen to this children? What will happen in this place? How come they don't have homes? When I became president of African Development Bank, I entered the boardroom and I said, the poor that we serve are not here. We don't see them, but we must feel them. We must hear them. And we must have a sense of duty and responsibility to act on their behalf. Hope is important, but nobody needs hope. We have to bring that future to the present very fast. So what I'm saying is thank you for your comments. I just want to say that keep investing in Liberia. You will support the agenda of the president. And when it comes to life of power, Africa on solar, absolutely. You have hydro, you have solar in this country. There's no reason why you shouldn't have 100% electricity. There's no reason. And we have a program that's called Desert to Power, which is a $20 billion program to light up and power Africa to solar. Now, let me talk to the issue of the Minister of Education and Entrepreneurship. I think we're going to launch the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank, so I don't repeat myself. You hear me, what I have to say during that. And what I want to only say this much for you on the issue of the youth, rather than get technical. When I took on this position as president of the bank, a week before, I went to a place called Goring Island. Goring Island is in Senegal. That's where the slaves were taken out of Africa and taken off to Europe and other parts of the world. I wanted to have a feeling of a sense of connection to history and a sense of responsibility and accountability in my position. And so as I was standing there, there's something called the door of no return. It's where all the slaves, the last slaves, they're going to throw them in the ship and that's it. When I go back into my car with all the emotions laden, I ask myself a solar question. Then, the youth, the strong ones of Africa, were taken away against their own volition and read books. Today, the same youth, similar youth, are living for the same direction on their own volition. And that is why I decided to develop this thing called Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank. Because I don't believe that the future of Liberia's youth, or the future of Africa's youth, lies in the United States, in Europe, in Asia, or Latin America. Now, Africa is able to create quality jobs for its own use. For young people, that's why we are doing what we do. We'll talk about that in a moment. The last one was Minister Mamaka. Thank you very, very much for your kind words. Thank you for everything. And you can be sure that we'll continue to support you. The rest resource mobilization is very, very important. Sitting next to the Minister of Finance. Thank you. Minister of Finance, and that is very important. This one, I will say, it doesn't matter how much resources you get. It's important.
Chris.
When like a tap. If you open a tap and you have a bucket, if that bucket is leaking, it doesn't matter how much water is flowing in. So, also block the leakage. Yeah, somebody was asking about the issue of corruption and how to tackle corruption and all of that. I'll make it very short. Here's only one thing that I would say about how I was able to do that. The position of government or in government is not a position you earn by taking an exam. It's a position you are given as an opportunity to serve the public. So it's a position held in trust. A minister, a president, a senator, house member is a trustee of the resources of the nation. And therefore, you must operate not in your own capacity. You must operate in the capacity to grow the assets of the people. And you must look at your respect does not come from what you have. Your respect must come from how your country looks. And so, corruption kills everything. But have you ever seen anybody take money to generate? Nations are respected, transparency, accountability, good governance, good quality of life, manage resources well. The resources of a nation does not belong in the pockets of the people. It belongs to the people to be managed well for the advancement of the people. When I was listening to your president and he was talking to me in the car, I was very much struck. And one of the things about corruption and all these things is simple. Your accountability must be, if you have an accountability towards God, you must always do the right things. Because whether you like it or you don't, whether you believe it or you don't, you owe position of public trust to God. Therefore, act always in public interest, knowing fully well that even your time on earth is also very limited as well. Last time I want to say you have a foundation that ambitions to build the next generation of African leaders, building your experience. Yes. Who asked you that question? Young person. Yeah. Absolutely yes. When I won the World Food Prize, which is known as they call it the Nobel Prize of Agriculture, in 2017, they gave me $250,000 cash for the prize. I remember getting in Iowa, and I told them I don't need the money. Not that I can't use the money, but don't send the money to me. Put it there. It took me 2 years to set up what's called the World Hunger Fighters Foundation. So those resources are to train and support young people fighting for hunger across the world. And that's one of the things that we are doing with our foundation. We're supporting quite a number of young people, some with PhDs today from our foundation. When I won the Soha Peace Prize in Korea, they gave me, say, $500,000. I said, don't pay that money into my account. Pay it to the foundation. Because without the generosity of people, without the resources of the state provided for me to do what I did, how would I have succeeded? And there are so many people, young people, they can't even go to school at all. So what I'm trying to say is this. We owe it as a duty and as a responsibility to transfer what we have into the next generation. How do you build the next President Boakai? How do you build the next Adesina and so many and other people that are leaders that are here? You know, it takes having a foundation where it's more than money, it's your time, it's your leadership, it's your mentorship, it's your support. You know, I am a firm believer in the fact that Africa's future is going to be so bright that The future is going to depend on the young people. Are you a young person here? Just put your hand. Yeah, the future of Liberia is there, but it's not in the future. That future is here. So let's support it. Let's do that. And of course, you know I would never close anything without singing. So I'm going to sing you, Mr. President, a song. Or information that I've seen.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, Minister of Information. I fully agree with you that we should be very ambitious. As a country, we chose to be very, very ambitious. We developed our new development agenda to cut about 8.38 billion for execution. We have projected that as a country we can afford just 30%. And the possibly 70% should come from our partner. As you see, the obstacle between our poor ambition and our capacity. What will you analyze in your expert opinion as to how we can balance ambition versus resources?
Well, thank you very much, Minister. First and foremost, I think if you're trying to, let me say, domestic resource mobilization is the key. Because you can't just depend on others. You know, you can't be a parent that says it's dinner time and it's time to eat. And I tell my kids to go and eat at the neighbor's house.
Yeah, that's right.
The neighbor may like me, may love me even to death. But it's not the responsibility of my neighbor to feed my kids.
Thank you.
And so we must develop a private basis. Generate the resources that we need from better managing the resources that we have. That's the first thing. The second thing is to make sure that you limit the leakages. Let me tell you why. Today, multinational companies are all over the place. They don't pay taxes. They don't pay the royalties they should be paying for their national assets. There's a lot of base shifting, profits shifting base erosion, just to be able to take resources out. Today, you have Africa probably getting about $171 billion a year in terms of resource inflows, but it loses more than $580 billion. So you have about $300-something billion that is lost to illicit capital flows and corruption. That's why I was saying that it doesn't matter how much you have a pie, if the bucket is leaking, what do you do? And so there must be public accountability. There must be, we have to close the loopholes on illicit capital flows, corruption that makes sure, that $300-something billion is more than 3 times the infrastructure financing gap of Africa. If you do nothing, just closing that gap alone is enough. The other thing that I want to say is, do you like steak? Do you like eating steak? What kind of steak do you like? T-bone steak? The reason I'm asking is I like steak. And if you take a T-bone steak, you can't eat it at once. Otherwise, you're going to choke. There has to be good public planning. Not everything important needs to be done at the same time. Sequential planning. This we can do within the resources we have. This we can do within the other resources where we have it. Third, transparency by leaders to their populations. When a doctor is speaking to a client, they have to tell the client exactly what the problem is, so the client can trust them. So government should have no problem telling their people that, look, we want to build this, but the resources we have, it's not enough to do it. So I'm telling you that we will do it at this time and this time so that we can manage the economy better. That is very, very important. So that you don't overcharge the load of the government and then the government is not able to finance them. The other challenge that you will have is today, You have a lot of challenges with the issue of tariffs, and I'm sure it affects everybody. Well, that's why we need to build the intra-Africa trade. Because if you actually trade among yourselves, you are not better off, because you are not as susceptible to the volatilities of the market like that. So we must trade among ourselves. The last thing I want to say is capital. The investor there from my Boakai, he was saying he's a private investor. Make your country investable. Good regulations, good policies, contract enforcement, rule of law. People can take their money and certainty, of contracts, certainty of contracts, and all of those things. Capital is like water. It always flows. But nothing can stop the flow of capital. If it meets a restriction, it will find another way. And if Africa wants to get capital from global, we have to make our environments easier for capital to come into, to stay, to grow through their investments. And so, from your domestic resource mobilization, from your public financial management, to your management of your debt properly, to making sure you are collecting the right taxes and royalties. And Mr. President, this one, let me just say so. Africa has so much natural resources, just like you do. Minerals, metals, oil, gas, agriculture, everything. Biodiversity, carbon. We are green, we are rich, natural resource rich, we are green rich, but we are cash poor. Therefore, we have to also make sure that we can change. Let me say, Minister of Finance, I'm getting technical here, but it's important because the President told me about the natural resources. Your GDP is the value of goods and services that any economy produces. But that GDP doesn't tell you about how it is produced and the negative externalities of that production. In other words, what are the things that are creating problems for others from your production? Like climate change, like greenhouse gas emissions and all of that. You have biodiversity. If your GDP is to be re-estimated, taking into consideration the value of your natural capital, your GDP as Liberia will be much higher. And that's why I'm saying we must re-estimate Africa's GDP to take into consideration the value of Africa's natural capital stock. If somebody is buying your car, the European emission trading standard, you cannot exceed it. If you exceed it, you have to go and compensate somewhere else. If you buy that car in Europe, it costs you up to 200 euros per car. If you buy it in Africa, it's $1 to $3. Okay? And so, there are so many rich countries buying a lot of lands across Africa. But if you are trying to generate resources from that, be careful. For the following reasons. First, you are getting peanuts. That's first. Second, the land you are giving, you don't longer have control over that land. You cannot use the value of that carbon to be part of your nationally determined contributions again, because it doesn't belong to you. And then you don't develop your local carbon market. Your regional carbon market. And finally, you cannot use the value of the carbon you have again to re-estimate your own GDP. Take into consideration the value of the natural carbon. So you will continue to be green, rich, and cash poor. And therefore, that is why I mentioned the President today for having that discussion. It's very important that we do things properly. My mother told me, President Associates, don't you? And she told me when I was a kid, I used to sell things for her. She said, when you go to the market, if you tell people what you are selling is a bad product, Nobody's going to buy it. Tell them what you're selling is good for your health. People will buy it. What I'm saying is that let us find a way in which we are taking we are looking at ourselves, we are valuing ourselves properly. Because when you don't value yourself properly, obviously you never have enough resources. And I think it's very important for the president to work on this issue of natural capital, because I think the economy of Liberia can be much bigger than it is if the value of natural capital is taken into account. Now, having said that, Mr. President, you have a great cabinet, and I really pray that God bless all of them as they help you to succeed, and you will succeed. Because they're very focused and determined president. They're very humble men. And God loves humble people. So, let me sing, because I know that it can be tough, but it's going to get there. Yeah. Okay. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all the shadows in my way. Lord, at the dark cloud that hold us down, it's going to be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's going to be a
Adesina will come back on stage to officially launch the Liberia Entrepreneurship Investment Bank. And then there will be a special statement by His Excellency the President. So now I ask Dr. Adesina come on stage. Please officially launch the YIB.
I thought it was going to say something about your first. What was it?
Your Excellency, Joseph Boakai, the Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Kun, Honorable Ministers that are here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon again. I am delighted to join you again, Mr. President, for the launch of the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank of Liberia. It's a day that brings hope to the youth of Liberia. It's a day that will unleash vast economic opportunities for the youth of Liberia. A day that sends a powerful message: invest in the youth of Liberia. For the time has come to unleash their entrepreneurial capacities. The time to make financial capacity work for the youth. This is because Liberia is a youth nation. The youth board is very high in Liberia, with about 71% of its 5.7 million people under the age of 35. But it is tough for the youth of Liberia. According to the African Development Bank, the youth underutilization rate is about 76% due to high unemployment and reliance predominantly on low-paying informal jobs. No one knows this better than President Boakai, who in his speech to the second meeting of the Cabinet on March 13, 2025, said, and I quote, "We must pay attention to the youth issues. Many young people have gone to school, earned degrees, and are seeking employment, but they have no jobs," end of quote. President Boakai called for urgent and decisive actions and said, and I quote, "The government fails to tackle these challenges, we will be in trouble." At the heart of the problem is the low level of educational attainment of the government, of the youth, with only 55% of the youth having secondary or even higher education. The youth generally lack skills in the labor market due to a mismatch between the educational training they get and the needs of the labor market. They also lack entrepreneurial skills, especially digital skills, that are central today in the age of the fourth industrial revolution, especially for artificial intelligence, robotics, automation, and the rise of the digital economy. These structural challenges have not prepared the majority of the youth for the jobs of today and the jobs of tomorrow. Informal employment accounts for 80% of the jobs of the young people. Liberia's youth now thrift. The high school dropout rates very high, especially among young adolescent girls, and rising substance abuse. Liberia does not work as its best assets is youth fought. The future of Liberia's youth cannot be left to oxygen. Your Excellency, Mr. President, the topmost agenda of the government of Liberia should be the youth. Everything the government does must focus on creating jobs for the youth as it requested, and supporting the youth to create jobs for themselves. Turning the youth from job seekers to job creators should be the priority. Every effort should be made to develop skills, especially through technical and vocational training, as well as support for the development of entrepreneurship skills and capacities. This has been the focus of the African Development Bank, starting with our Youth Entrepreneurship and Employment Project in Liberia, which was completed 3 years ago. The project supported the development of curriculums for entrepreneurship and established an entrepreneurship center at the Nimba County University. The project also supported business plan competitions for the youth who completed the technical and vocational training to receive seed funding for their businesses.
but due to insufficient grant funding at the time, many of the aspiring youth entrepreneurs could not secure financing to start their businesses. The lesson is clear. Simply providing technical and vocational training is not enough. A financial ecosystem is needed to support young entrepreneurs to access capital to turn their ideas and creativity into viable businesses. That youth-focused financial ecosystem is missing in Liberia. The current financial system caters to the large corporates, while the microfinance institutions cater to the micro enterprises. However, there is a missing middle there between the commercial banks and the microfinance institutions, which does not take care of the entrepreneurs. Large commercial banks are too big, while the microfinance institutions are too small. Yet, entrepreneurs in Liberia need equity, not just loans. But missing in Liberia is a regulatory framework that will robustly support asset managers to invest in businesses and ventures of the youth. The African Development Bank, Mr. President, launched the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Banks precisely to address the market failures and the missing institutional problems facing access of youth-led businesses to patient capital to start, nurture, and grow their businesses. We have so far approved over $180 million in support of youth entrepreneurship investment banks for several countries in Africa. Through this, the African Development Bank is putting its capital at risk to back the ventures of young people. It is a risk worth taking. That's because rising unemployment of the youth poses the greatest risk to social, economic, and political stability of Africa. The Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank of Liberia, which we are launching today, Your Excellency, that we are launching today, was approved last year by the African Development Bank with a financing of $16 million. And I'd like to thank the Executive Director, Rufus Akode, who did a fantastic job of pushing this forward. I am delighted and proud that Liberia is the first country in Africa to launch its youth entrepreneurship investment. Congratulations. I wish to acknowledge and thank the Mastercard Foundation for its incredible support in the design of the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank of Liberia. Your Excellency, Mr. President, the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank of Liberia will provide financial and non-financial services to the youth to start and to scale their businesses by strengthening the overall entrepreneurship ecosystem and all its stakeholders. It will forge multi-stakeholder partnerships to mobilize capital to invest and coordinate the delivery of financial and non-financial services for entrepreneurs in a systemic, structured, scalable, and sustainable manner. The Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank of Liberia will operate under a management holding company with three special purpose vehicles. First, an early-stage equity fund, which will offer long-term capital to small and medium-sized enterprises through equity and quasi-equity, helping them to launch, to grow, and to scale their businesses. Second, technical assistance fund, a private foundation, which will support non-financial offerings, including technical assistance to small and medium-sized enterprises to prepare them for investment, financial literacy, and support for financial and non-financial service delivery partners. Third, a credit guarantee fund, which will mitigate lending risks in the market through the provision of credit guarantees to obviate the need for collaterals required by financial institutions from youth-owned businesses. Sometimes a young person goes to a bank, you enter a bank, you see somebody like me with a Boakai, all they see is risk, they don't see opportunity. And they ask you for collateral that you don't have. They also ask you to go and bring your tax receipts. For the last 40 years, and we are only 14 years old. The Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank of Liberia will focus on critical sectors with immense opportunities for the youth, including agriculture, value addition of agribusiness, digital services, mining, and tourism. The Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank of Liberia is expected to reach over 30,000 youth-led businesses. Support financing 6,000 youth-led businesses, create 120,000 jobs, and contribute, Minister of Finance will be a happy man, an additional $18 million in tax revenue. The Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank of Liberia cannot do this alone. With the Boakai principle in mind, the African Development Bank will support the wider financial and non-financial services ecosystems. And that, Mr. President, is expected to unlock about $500 million in additional lending to youth-owned businesses across Liberia. To make this possible, the African Development Bank will establish through another project what's called Business Innovation and Development Centers. These centers will be nationwide. They will facilitate business development and development of government services to entrepreneurs and small and medium-sized enterprises. The Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank of Liberia will operate very strong corporate governance. It is a government-enabled, but not a government-run entity. Even though the government will have the initial majority shareholder and that will decline over time to the private sector. The bank will be governed by highly experienced private sector leaders from Liberia, who will serve as independent executive directors. The process, Mr. President, of professionalizing the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank is well on its way. The project implementation unit and the steering committees are now operational. The board of directors of the management holding company has been appointed. The recruitment of the chief executive officer and management team is underway. The licensing of the management company is expected in September of 2025. The full operations will begin in early 2026, and that's just 5 months away. Your Excellency, Mr. President, Honorable Ministers, the Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, we are at an historic moment that will change the future of Liberia's youth. I can hear the sounds of rain for the youth of Liberia. Rain of hope, rain of opportunities, rain of success. Success at the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank of Liberia unleashes economic opportunities for the youth of Liberia. Let us turn misery into hope, and hope into wealth for the youth. Let us create youth-based wealth all across Liberia. And let us do it together. Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the microphone over to the Chief of Protocol.
Mr. Marshall.
Yeah, MS Kennedy, Chief of Protocol, Executive Marshal.
We have another program to attend. So, thank you, Dr. Adesina. Mr. Speaker of the House of Representatives of Liberia. Other member of the National Legislature. Dr. Akinwumi A, President of the African Development Bank, members of the President's Cabinet, they include the Minister of Finance and Development Planning and other officials of government, Mr. Executive Governor of the Central Bank of Liberia, and heads of other banking institutions, members of the Traditional Council of Chiefs and Elders, entrepreneurs, business executives and business leaders, prelates and members of the clergy, performing artists at these ceremonies, all other invited guests, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On the occasion of the launch of the Liberia Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank and Honorary Ceremony, it is my pleasing duty at this time to present to you His Excellency Boakai, Senior, President of the Republic of
Can't go from here, please.
No, you're not overcharging, yeah.
Thank you very much. Please have your seats.
Batio! President Boakai Party! Party! Batio! The great President Party! Party! Amunyo! Amunyo!
Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, Pro Tem, stands here to recognize our Justice, the Supreme Court, Chief Justice, and Dean and members of the Cabinet, that Akinwumi A, Adesina, President of African Development Bank, and members of the delegation, our traditional chiefs, members of the fourth estate, members of the diplomatic council, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. As I was sitting, I said maybe that Akinwumi doesn't understand why the bank was a AAA bank. Please look at her name. Thank you very much. pleasure to welcome you to this occasion. The occasion we've been waiting for the longest time. And today we're here to celebrate a great friend of Liberia, outstanding African leader. Dr. Akinwumi, we welcome you very much on this day. I was why we had to rush to come back yesterday to make sure we meet you. Your presence here today is deeply meaningful to us and even to our youth. The fact that all three branches of government are represented here speak volumes about the value you place in your visit and the respect we have for your leadership and the contributions you have made to Africa and continue to make. You are not a stranger to Liberia. You have been trusted as a partner and a champion for African development. Honor your visionary leadership. The African Development Bank has not only grown in size, but redefined the way development financing works on our continent. The bank's capital grew more than $4 billion in just 10 years compared to the little over $2 billion in previous 50 years. And I'm sure that the statistics are there too. That is not progress, it is transformation. We are especially honored that Liberia is one of the countries you have chosen to visit as you conclude your remarkable tenure. And I'm not saying conclude, moving into another area as we discussed before that will be even more meaningful to Liberia. This visit gave us the opportunity to learn from your experience. And we have drawn inspiration, their unwavering dedication to Africa's development. And by the way, you did it better than Lionel Richard. You have shown the world that all our ideas, when combined with their vision and determination, can produce extraordinary results. Through your leadership, the African Development Bank has invested in real solutions that touch the lives of everybody. Here in Liberia, my current portfolio is impressive, standing at $408 million United States dollars and covering 18 projects in sectors critical to the growth of this country. These include transport, energy, agriculture, finance, and multi-sectorial initiatives. These investments are not just numbers on paper. They are roads that connect our communities, energy that lights up our homes and businesses, agriculture that protects and strengthens food security and create income for farmers. We also appreciate your support of public financial management reforms, which have improved fiscal discipline and enhanced service delivery to our country. These steps have helped us rebuild trust in governance and set the stage for lasting progress. Perhaps one of the most exciting initiatives we've done today is the Youth Entrepreneurial Investment Bank. This speaks directly to the heart of the future of this country because over 60% of our population is under the age of 30. This program gives hope to our young people by turning them from job seekers into job creators. It will provide financing, mentorship, and the skills they need to succeed in agriculture, technology, and knowledge-based economy, and other emerging sectors. This aligns perfectly with our arrest agenda for inclusive development. We place a strong emphasis on economic revitalization and private sector growth. I don't know, but when you call Nima, I can tell you in Liberia at the heartbeat of youth entrepreneurship. And I want to say here that we are on the right track. We also see that we domesticate our rescue mobilization initiatives as a game changer, one that will support inclusive and sustainable development for Liberia and across Africa. Look at Adesina, as you prepare to move on to the next chapter, I want you to know that your legacy in Liberia is strong and enduring. The programs you have championed will continue to make an impact for years to come on the lives of the youth and the lives of our people. As we look to the future, we sincerely hope that the success of the African Development Bank will give thoughtful consideration to the Liberty Corridor project, an ambitious infrastructure initiative connecting Liberia to Guinea, Burkina Faso, and Mali. We want to emphasize that because, as you know, that is a key project to connecting this region, especially the Mali River region. While this project is fundamentally about regional integration and shared prosperity, we must admit we will also love to play the role of a gateway for the land of neighbors to access the Atlantic, and that is very important. We believe this corridor holds great potential for unlocking growth and strengthening cross-border trade. So on behalf of the government and people of Liberia, I want to extend our appreciation to you and the African Development Bank family. As I was listening to the Agriculture Minister, and I usually tell them that in government, the Minister of Finance cut your money to balance the budget and leave you with the problem of budgeting the balance. So you always have to take your money to balance budget and leave you with the problem of budgeting. I hope you can budget the balance well. Then you were talking about dreams. Someone has said, if your dream don't scare you, then they're not deep enough. But the problem some of us have is that sometimes we forget the dream while we are still sleeping. But if you don't remember your dreams, you're not going to be able to face it. So as you move into your new endeavors to serve Africa and the world, may you continue to inspire excellence, drive impact, and elevate African voices on the global stage. You emphasize good governance, accountability. That is what we are about. When we talk about management, and we have been very strong on that. Accountability, making sure that people know that they are serving their country. As I share with you, when I travel out of the country, everybody is seeking greener pastures. And I tell them, the people sing, we shall welcome, and we say we shall come over. Everything is here. Just that we need to punish them well. We need to take our resources and put them in good use. We have inherited a lot in this country, and we're trying to re-educate our people, the young people, show them that good management pays. There's no reason why we should leave this country. We have to invest in the interior part of the country because everybody wants to come to the coast, C-O-A-S-T. Come over and see trouble. You're happy, right? You come to Liberia, you have to be rich. Yes, our people feel like where they are. And we can do it. We just discipline ourselves. We take the resources of the country, invest them in the rural community where people are producing. Some of the people don't want to fly. They don't want to go anywhere. They want to stay in their local situation and improve it. Give them medical facilities, give them drinking water. And that's what yesterday we were in Bong, the first modern high school that gave the children an environment to study. The Bible says cleanliness is next to godliness. And you see, as a man thinketh, so he is. You get people good thinking environment, they think well. And I think we are trying to learn that in this country, that our children, our youth, our women can do better in good environment in a society that corruption. Known as the president. I'm just talking about it. Sometimes we see education as a mess, but I always say don't cause the dark net and the light on. We don't have to criticize it. We work towards it, and that's what we're trying to do. And so we're very proud of you. Very, very proud that you as an African took that bank from nowhere. And thank you very much for some of your people that we've taken from you. We took the public works plan from you. You didn't complain. We took Minister of Finance from you. And who else did we take? Maybe the two. But we want to be grateful to you for the love you've shown for this country, the passion for what Nigeria has gone through. I say to you, this will be a second home for you at any time. Today, our young people are going to be grateful for the opportunity you've given them. I know you received an award before, but I have a special presidential thing here that I'd like to present to you. Thank you. We are credit getting this presidential thing. Church. That's our appeal. I figured that Akinwumi and I will be going to Tottenham, and we have a program there. Since we don't have time to do what we're supposed to do this evening, I want to take him out of town. Let him go and see what we go through here. So I'm doing that because the law is shown in this country. Thank you very much.
You can have your boss.
The boss gone. Most space now. Going? I have four. I will give you food. Começa a casa ali.
We do this here in the name of the Father, Son, blessed Holy Spirit.
Then turn the screen up. Screen.
Carrying a trap?
Yes.
You carrying a trapper?
Lagi.
Youth Council.
So funny.
By way of announcement, all members of the cabinet are required to join the president in tournament for the dinner. All cabinet ministers are required to join the president in tournament in the evening for the dinner.
Chief.
Why Shapai? The chief can go there.